pre-war glamour comes back to cycle racing's famous Herne Hill track, knocking off the preliminary heats.
This is the tale of two Midlands men called Tommy Godwin. They shared the same name, the same passion, and both climbed to the pinnacle of their sport.
And London rider Walker looks a winner all the way, but Tommy Godwin, number 7, has a sprint still left in the bag.
But after they reached the peak, their lives followed different paths. One is a celebrated athlete, a national treasure. The other is barely remembered. So what exactly did these two Tommies do? And why, more than half a century on, is one hailed as a master of his sport, whilst the other remains a mystery? The two Tommies were born 8 years apart at the beginning of the last century. One grew up in Stoke, the other in Birmingham. And although their paths would never cross, they both started out in the same way, on the saddle of a delivery bike.
I was leaving school at 14 years of age and went and got a job at Brenson's, the grocers, delivering groceries by bicycle with a big basket on the front, and quite enjoyed myself, and obviously it straightened my legs up pushing all this weight round, and it just became of great importance to me, just riding a bike. And then when I started training and people found the potential that I'd got, my father and other people in the cycling, racing cycling, and I was soon a member of the famous Rover Racing Cyclist Club of that day. And just from 1938-39 onwards, it was just improving all the time.
London, 1948, the 14th Olympiad of the modern era.
The cycling feats of Birmingham's Tommy Godwin soon got him noticed, and he was selected to represent Britain at the 1948 London Olympic Games.
This is it. Yes, memories of the old days.
This is where it happened.
That's it. Absolutely. The 1,000 metres started just along there.
Right.
And the finishing line down here.
Okay. Tommy won bronze in the team pursuit and made it to the final of the 1,000-metre time trial. But the elements were against him.
And I was riding in the dark, in fact. There was no lights on, but I was actually riding in the dark, and the officials were working under the light of the stand. But coming round at the 200 metre mark, I found out later I was exactly level with the winner, and the last 200 metres in a 1,000 metre time trial is something, it's unbelievable. Your legs aren't going round, they're just going up and down in a straight line, but the sheer effort of a 1,000 metre, and to cross the lines and to hear the crowd cheering you when it was announced, and the crowd went absolutely mad, and I was full of feeling. Right over to my dad when he cracked up there. A man of 17.5 stone and cried because his son had won a second medal. Quite amazing.
In 1948, Birmingham's Tommy Godwin was a national hero.
You can't believe winning 2 bits of metal has brought so much interest and given me the life that they have given me.
But what about the other Tommy? Well, his heroics came 9 years earlier, in a challenge to ride the most miles in a year. And in those 12 months, he cycled the equivalent of 3 times around the world.
Boy, did he put up. You know, he was doing over 300 miles a day, quite regularly.
That's phenomenal.
I'd actually, got my calculator out. I worked it out that some people, as a lifetime's objection, like to do a Land's End to John O'Groats ride. And in that year of 1939, Tommy did the equivalent of 88 Land's End to John O'Groats rides.
Phenomenal.
To give you some idea. It's just inconceivable that what he did at that time. And as time goes on, to me, it just becomes all that more remarkable.
Tommy rode an incredible 75,000 miles that year, at an average of 200 miles a day. And he didn't stop there. He pedalled 25,000 more in early 1940. He'd broken the world record, but that was soon forgotten as Britain was plunged into war. Tommy had to wait for the fighting to end to resume his cycling career, but he was in for a big disappointment. The professional sport was decimated, and because he'd been paid to ride in 1939, he couldn't compete as an amateur. And that would mean he would never race again.
Tom was gutted. I mean, but Tom wasn't a politician. He wasn't a committee man. He was a doer. He just got on with his life. He signed professional, and in those days, when you go professional, you don't qualify for the Olympics. Today, you do. In those days, you didn't.
And why do you think we don't know as much about him now as we should do?
Tom, if he'd have been allowed straight away to go for more records with sponsorship from his previous spot from Raleigh, yes, we'd have heard more from him. If he'd have been allowed to revert back to his amateur status and race, we'd have heard more of him. So it's like a combination of a few major things there that he's the forgotten champion. He is the forgotten champion.
Tommy put his disappointment to one side to coach a local amateur club. And that's something Birmingham's Tommy Godwin did too, but at a higher level. He ran the first organised training scheme for British cyclists and managed Olympic and Commonwealth teams. Tommy would go on to train a generation of top track cyclists, run a bike shop in Birmingham and become president of Solihull Cycling Club, my local team.
Going up to my nice little room of memorabilia.
Right. What's in here?
Everything you want to know about cycling.
Oh, well, all right. In short, he's become a well-known face in British cycling. And with the Olympics in London next year, his medal-winning feats are being celebrated all over again.
I've had a wonderful life, 90 years of age, and still sprightly enough to go down to the track or to road events and present prizes or give a bit of advice. And my life has been wonderful, and I'm looking forward to getting into the 2012 Olympics. And when I first spoke to Sebco, I was introduced to him by Lynn Davis, the old long jumper from 1964, and Sebco said, I want you at the Olympics of 2012, and that's going back about 3 years. And I said, if I'm there, I said, I'll be 91 years of age. I said, I'll be honest with him, we're two carers. And he said, I don't care how you're there. He said, I want you there.
Birmingham's Tommy Godwin has joined Britain's sporting elite, but his namesake from Stoke didn't live to see his achievements celebrated. He died in 1975, on his way home from a ride with friends.
So it took a long, long time, but finally the city of Stoke-on-Trent.
And here it is.
We had a get-together.
Oh, wow.
The scrapbooks and everything was on show, and the mayor came, and here we go.
Tommy's world record still stands and is perhaps unlikely ever to be broken. But the only real recognition he's got is a plaque at a local sports centre. For his friends, it's a great start, but they feel he's still to get the acclaim he fully deserves.
I mean, there's stories within stories. There was the equipment he was on. It was pioneering, it was revolutionary, cutting edge. There was 5 guys going for the record. There was the weather conditions. The north had got ice and snow, which is affecting the daily mileage. The south had got better conditions. But he did the record, and sure, there is a lot more that could be done to put that straight. To remember the record and recognise it.
He may not be widely known now, but that may change. 2 books are planned about that remarkable 75,000-mile ride. Perhaps then, the other, forgotten Tommy Godwin will get the respect and plaudits his more famous namesake already receives.